All right, so one of the most common questions that I often get asked is what video editing software would I recommend to a beginner drone pilot looking to edit their videos? And time after time, I have recommended Movavi simply because it's intuitive, easy to understand, and it's relatively affordable for somebody that is just starting out. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at their brand new software, Movavi Editor 24. Let's get into it. All right, so a lot goes into making an intuitive software. It has to be easy to understand, it has to have a dead simple layout, and it has to be affordable. If it's not affordable, 1 and 2 really don't matter. So I think Movavi has struck a really nice balance of making this simple and affordable, yet also giving professional results that you would expect from higher end or even more expensive softwares. If I didn't make mention of it already, Movavi is sponsoring today's video. They did go ahead and provide the license in which I'll be using for Movavi Editor. Now, Movavi works on both Mac and Windows. If you've watched my previous videos on Movavi, you'll know that I used to use and edit on a Windows PC, and I've recently switched over to using Mac. So I have a basic Mac Studio here. I think it's just the base version Mac Studio, and I found that it works very well. I'm getting great performance out of Movavi Editor 24. I've been using it now for the past 2 weeks on social media content for clients and just some social media content that I'm posting over to TikTok. If you want to know more about how to edit with Movavi Editor 24, I will be doing a series of videos on that. So be sure to subscribe with the notifications turned on so you don't miss it. This video is just going to be my overall thoughts on the editor, what I think of it and some of these new AI features, because I haven't worked with a software that offers this much automatic features before. With that being said, let's just jump into the editor so I can give you an overall layout of the land. All right, so now that Movavi Editor is opened up, I just want to sort of give you sort of a rundown of the navigation of here, what we're seeing. So the very first thing that Movavi prompts you to do is go ahead and import your files. This section here is where all files will be imported. You see we have this little area here where you can add files. You can go ahead and also import folders as well. One of the things I like about Movavi is that I can organize all of my clips beforehand and then import my individual files with the items that I filmed inside. Other editing platforms that I've used, like Final Cut, don't allow me to do that. And it makes for a very messy edit when I'm trying to navigate through even larger projects. Quick social media content, I don't mind, but when I'm working through a lot of files and I have multiple camera angles, I need to know that I'm going to be able to find things easily. And this allows me to do that by organizing by the file. So very nice touch there. Project files will show up in this window here. You also have sample videos, you have backgrounds. So if you remove the background, they do have this AI background removal, which works pretty darn good. You can go ahead and use one of their stock backgrounds and just throw it in place of the background that you removed. They do have intro videos here. This is like more if you want to create an intro video, you can really make it your own with your own brand, your own logo, your own colors. You can modify these to your heart's content. It's all built into the software itself. You do have some that are free, some that are not. These are on the effects store. Anything with this little crown you'll find on the effects store. Again, very affordable to access and get a subscription to the effects store if that's something you're interested in. You have your favorites window here, so anything that you favorited will show up here. These are all your free. These are built into Movavi, and I think they give you a good selection of free items, so that way you can at least get started and determine whether or not you want to buy something additional. Moving on, we have access to music. You have music and sounds that are already pre-canned and available within Movavi. So if you were thinking about getting a subscription to, let's say, an Artlist or what is that, Epidemic Sound, you can just forego that because those subscriptions can get costly. I pay on average per year about $800 a year in music subscriptions, which for the average person that is just doing this for fun, that gets very costly very quickly. So they have access to a slew of royalty-free music already built into the editing suite, which no other editing suite offers music built in. It just doesn't exist. So you can quickly and easily download information directly to the editor, add it to your timeline, and use it without the worry of getting a copyright strike, which I think is pretty cool. They also have sound effects available within Movavi. They have the most common sound effects for free, and then of course you can download additional sound packs if you have that Movavi store subscription, you can go ahead and bring information into the editor and begin using that and save it. So pretty cool stuff there. Moving on past that, we have our text tab. This is where you can add text directly into your video. They also have these really cool sort of YouTube My Links logos here. These are pretty cool. These are on the Movavi store. So if you wanted to add your Instagram, TikTok, or even X profile, you can go ahead and add that. And these are transparent, so they're just going to go overlay over your clip, which I think is pretty cool. They also have this really nice little subscribe icon here. Again, these are all the YouTuber-y things that you find on all the professional large videos. It's all available right from within this edit-in suite, which I think is pretty cool. Then we have our transitions tab here. The transitions tab are going to go in between your cuts, because there's nothing worse than doing a crazy jump cut into another scene and it just looks all jagged and distorted. So this is going to allow you to put different cuts in between things. You have your crossfade, your blur in, and then of course they have some things like smear and this parallax. This is probably one of my favorite transitions. They have like an offset transition. I love that transition. It just looks cool. And then you also have your zoom fast in, which works really well. Here's another one, zoom fast in again. So if you're doing certain things that you're like, let's say you're flying your drone and you want to zoom in closer to something, you can just add this in between cuts, get closer. Yeah, it just makes it really easy, and they're intuitive. They're just all drag and drop transitions. Beneath that, we have our filters, overlay effects, and Luts panel. So in this area here, you have a bunch of things like light leaks, mirror effect, motion blur. So this is really cool. I love this. If you have a fast moving subject, you can go ahead and add motion blur to it, and it works really well. You can also dial back that intensity of the motion blur, which I think looks cool. You can also add noise or color pops to things to make it look a little bit more filmic. And then of course we have our overlay effects, which are interesting. You know, you got to have a use case for these effects. I don't think many drone pilots would probably use this, but it is here and available if that's something you're into. Then of course we have our Luts section here. This is where you can use the Luts they already have built in. In the previous generations of Movavi, we really didn't have a lot of Luts available. Now they have a plethora of Luts available to your disposal. I went ahead and programmed my favorite for my Sony a7S III. I have a LUT that I use, and I can just bring it in, apply it directly to the clip, and the clip is good to go, which I think is pretty darn cool. This was something that I complained about in the older generation of Movavi, and they went ahead and fixed this and made this so much better. I like the fact that it remembers the LUTs even after I close out. So many times you have to do all this, you know, messing around to bring and import your LUTs in. You have to go into a folder, drop the LUTs in the folder for them to be there. I don't want to have to do that. I want to know that if I import it one time, it's always going to be there. Well, on this, you can definitely do that, which is pretty cool. All right, beneath this, we have like a little sticker or call outs. These are pretty cool because you can also add motion tracking. This is great if you're doing like real estate videos, you want to map where a property is, you can add an arrow or a location point and you can track it directly to that property, which I think is pretty cool. You have an arrow section here, which works great. Again, for real estate videos, agents love when I do this. And you have access to adding this directly from within Movavi. They have a highlight section here. So again, this is going to allow you to highlight something. It's also going to be a little bit transparent. You can make it track to something. You have signs or sketch, which is pretty cool. And actually, these rectangle outlines, you could almost make those work for property lines if you wanted to. May not work for everything, but it could work. Beneath here, we have our effects store. This is where you can access some of the assets that aren't available within Movavi. These do require purchase to download those. Unless you have that subscription that gives you access to this unconditionally, then you can go ahead and access that information. Beneath this is your effects window here. This is where you can access some of the AI features for video and audio. You have color adjustments, crop, rotate, pan and zoom, stabilization, animation. You have highlight and conceal. This is for motion tracking. See how he's motion tracking his subject? Pretty darn cool. Chroma key. This was something that I was asking for previously and that a lot of softwares don't really get right, is a chroma key. That's for green screen. This works really, really well. I'm very, very happy with this. This is background removal. This is new. This is the AI background removal. Like right now I'm sitting in this chair. If I wanted to remove my background, I could easily do that because I'm a bright subject. My contrast in my background is different. It will work very well in this scene. It gets it right, I would say, about 90% of the time. Sometimes it's not as good, but for the most part, it does a really good job. This is scene detection. This scene detection does automatically detect scenes and cuts the video separate clips according to changes. Use this lightly. It works well. It does need a little bit of work, but it does work pretty good, actually. Then you have logo. You can choose a file for your logo, and you can add it in as a watermark, basically, to your entire video. And this is slow motion. If you want to slow your clip speed down, you can go ahead and do it directly from here. Then you have your audio tab. You have your sound autocorrect. You have your audio effects. This is where you can add reverb or vibrations or just, any effects that you want to add into your video to give it a different feel. You can do that from here. They have an equalizer. It's a graphic equalizer. It's really easy to use. I like to use what we call the California smile on my videos. It just gives a good little bass, but not too much to where it's overbearing. And then it also allows you to increase those mids to give you a bright sound. We have this new AI noise reduction. And at first, when I first heard about this, I thought it was sort of gimmicky, but after trying it out, I have to say it works really, really well. It definitely works, and it doesn't take too long for it to operate. You have your noise gate, your compressor, your reverb, your synchronization. So if you record it audio separately from your camera, so like right now I'm recording on my camera, and I'm recording audio with the microphone on the camera, but I'm also recording audio directly into the Shure SM7B. I can synchronize my audio in post, which is fantastic. Not many softwares offer this to that level. Not many, I would say, affordable softwares offer something like that. So they really thought about things very uniquely. And then my favorite thing that they offer, and for drone pilots, for real estate, this is huge. Automatic beat detection. You can drag in an audio clip and automatically detect the beats and then be able to edit directly to the beats after it goes through and marks everything. A lot of softwares do not have this. You can buy plugins. These plugins are very, very expensive, like $200–300 for an automatic beat detection plugin, and half the time they don't even work all that well. I will say I'm very impressed at how well this works. Unfortunately, it doesn't allow you to adjust the parameters of the beat detection, but it definitely gets you started. And if you're not familiar with how to edit directly to the beat, you'll be happy to know that this works incredibly well. All right, so now that we've done an overview of this, I'm gonna go ahead and bring in some video clips, and I'll just show you some of the more AI features that I feel are most impressive. The first clip I want to show you is this clip here. I'm in the Jeep. It is raining. And if you've never been in a Jeep while it's raining, it is incredibly loud. It's almost obnoxious. So just take a listen.
Sucks about shooting real estate here in Florida. We still have one more house that we have to do.
So you can hear that rain just pelting off the roof of the Jeep. If I had a soft top, it would probably be even worse. But what we're going to want to do is go down to our effects area, go to our audio, and then we're going to go down to our noise removal. Now you have default, where you can adjust the suppression amount, or you can do artificial intelligence. I don't know why I said that like a New Yorker. Artificial intelligence, and then you can just click on apply. Now what it's gonna do, it's gonna go through the entire clip, analyze it, and do what it thinks is best to remove that noise. And this whole process is happening in real time as I'm talking to you. I'm not speeding up the clip at all. And this clip is about 1 minute and 3 seconds long, and it's just scooting right along. And again, I'm just using the Bass Max Studio, and it's not stuttering one bit. So it's about to wrap up, and then we can give it a listen and see how it sounds.
It sucks about shooting real estate here in Florida. We still have one more house that we have to do, and I mean, it's pouring. It's dumping buckets. But the good thing about Florida is...
All right, so that went ahead and removed the vast majority of the noise. Now what I would do is I would go into my equalizer, choose a preset. Right now it's on flat. We can go ahead and add a voice enhancer, and that's pretty much a California smile. We may want to just bump up the bass just a little bit, and let's give it a listen now.
Sucks about shooting real estate here in Florida. We still have one more house that we have to do, and I mean, it's pouring. It's dumping buckets. But the good thing about Florida is
it makes my voice a lot more isolated. Sounds a bit better like this, which is something that, I mean, I can use this clip now. Before in its previous form, I wouldn't be able to use it. It would be way too distracting to leave that in a vlog. But having some of that noise removed being able to put more emphasis on what I'm saying is pretty damn cool. All right, let's take a look at color grading within Movavi, because this is what I'm really excited about. I love color. Color to me really expresses emotions in video, and I'm super glad that they added in the ability for us to utilize LUTs. All right, so I have a clip here. It was shot in S-Log3. This is 10-bit, 4K, 30 frames per second. What I'm gonna do is go down to my filters overlay, go to my LUTs, and it's just as simple as clicking on my LUT. It's gonna go through, it's gonna apply the LUT to the clip. And from here, now all we have to do is make some minor adjustments. It's already got everything looking pretty good, but now what we'll do is we'll go down to our color section here and our color adjustments. This is down here in the effects section. Go to color adjustments, and we have some options. We can do auto saturation, we can do magic enhance. Magic enhance is like their AI options, and you can just sort of apply that. I'm not really a big fan of that, but I mean, for some people that may work okay. We can grab this natural tone. Let's see what that looks like. It's not that. Let's see what golden hour looks like. This is new. I like, oh, that's too gold. So we're not going to use that. Let's go with this coffee hue, see what that looks like. Whoa, definitely can't use that. So for this one, we're probably going to have to do manual. First thing we need to do is, wait a second. Did I still leave that effect on there? I think I did. I think I still left the effect on there. I'm going to dial back my saturation a little bit. And let's brighten it up a little more, just like that. That looks pretty good. Increase the saturation just a little bit, like that. Let's go ahead and knock back my hue a little bit. And I'm going to knock the gamma. I'm going to bring the gamma up. This is going to adjust my midtones a little bit. Let's adjust the highlights, the shadows, bring the shadows down a little bit. Something like that. I mean, you can really play with it. Color grading is going to be subjective, but you can get a lot closer with this. And the vast majority are not going to be filming in S-Log3. Again, as a beginner, you're probably going to be filming in a standard profile. And on the Osmo Pocket 3, I've just been filming in the standard profile, and it works fine. So again, if you want to see me utilize the Osmo Pocket 3 with Movavi, be sure to hit that subscribe button. That sort of gives you an idea of how well it works. Again, I'm very, very happy with the overall performance of the editing suite when it comes to 4K footage and 10-bit color. That was something that I'd always struggled with before, and a lot of editing softwares struggle with it, but it does very, very well. It's super smooth, and being able to edit fast without stutter or rendering is amazing. It's actually rendering on the back end of things, which makes this a lot easier. Let's go ahead and try one of the cool things about this, which is the background removal. So I'm going to use the precise, which is high accuracy, and it's an average processing speed. If you want things to go quicker, you can use the quick, but I'm going to use precise, and we're going to hit remove. Now, what I'm looking to do is remove the background. I'm sitting outside, Nick's sort of moving around, so it should also track me. And what this is doing is analyzing my movements versus the movements happening in the background. So we'll give this a second here. This is gonna take a little bit longer than the audio side, but once this is done, we'll come back and take a look at it.
A few moments later.
That did a crazy job, I think. That did a crazy job of removing the background. It even removed the table out of there. That looks awesome. Take a look at that. Still got some of the leaves on me, but that is insane. I could make this into a GIF. I can do whatever I want with this, really. That's pretty wild how well that did. Man, that looks awesome. I'm happy with that. So we'll go ahead and just crop in on this a little bit because I don't want to see that underside. I don't want to see where it removed the table. And then this is where we can go ahead and go to the video section here. We're going to go to the backgrounds, and then we can choose a background if we want it. And you can choose really any background that you want. You can choose white, you can choose blue. I always recommend trying to find something that is going to be very similar to what you just removed. That's going to give you the best amount of performance. So we'll go ahead and grab this one here, and I'm just going to drag this like that. I do have to detach the audio, and I'm just going to lift this up, and then I can drag that underneath. But take a look at this. That is pretty wild. Alrighty, so that is crazy how well it did. There is literally nothing on the edges of that. So there's literally nothing on the edges of that other than there's one little spot here. But the only thing I could ask is maybe that they make an eraser tool, but it's only because I'm moving around and the camera's also moving around that I have that. But this is great if you want to make little animations or little pop-ups. You can remove the background and make cool little things for your videos. I think that works great. Very impressed with that. But overall, here's my thoughts on Movavi Editor 24. I think it's a super simplistic editing software that has enough professional features that are simple enough for beginners to understand. And that's why this has become such a popular and powerful utility for many. And the fact that it's so affordable, I think that the last time I checked, this was like $79 or $89, which is still one of the far more inexpensive. I don't even want to call it cheap because nothing that it's doing is cheap. It punches well above its weight class for the price. But if you want to see me edit a full video, soup to nuts within Movavi Editor, be sure to hit that subscribe button. That video will be dropping next week. I'm going to be doing that all with the Osmo Pocket 3. We're going to just use standard color profile for simplicity's sake. But yeah, very impressed with Movavi Editor 24. If you're interested in this platform, you want to take a look at it, there will be links down below where you can go ahead and download it. I believe they do have a free trial still. And again, it's cheap enough to where you won't really feel bad if you bought it and only used it a handful of times. That's going to do it for this video. As always, I'll see you in the next one. Stay original.
I heard they checking for me, no one checking on me, so I had to go run up a check. I got the message on me, ain't no flexing on me, my attorney gon' call and collect. Blessings on blessings for me, my successes only made them envious, they got upset. I had to put all their egos in check.